Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Solihull Chamber of Commerce webinar. I'm Lillian, Head of Solihull Chamber of Commerce. We're joined today by Rick Courtney from Be More Social, and he is going to talk us through everything social media, with particular focus on LinkedIn and Twitter. Before I hand over to Rick, I'm just going to run through a couple of quick things chamber related. And a couple of just messages. If you have any technical issues, please put it in the chat. So if you can't hear anyone or any other issues, let us know and we will do our best to resolve it. If you have any questions during the presentation for Rick, again, please use the chat function and we will get back to them at the end of the presentation. We're looking to wrap up the sort of formal webinar at 11:45. However, you are more than welcome to come and stay and chat anything social media afterwards as well. So we will keep the room open so you can have a bit of an informal networking opportunity and chat amongst yourselves as well. I think today, actually, we've got mainly members on our call and actually a lot of members from different divisions, which is I love to see. So as most people know, Solihull Chamber is part of the Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce Group, and we have 10 different divisions. So lovely to see other divisions joining us today as well. Grace, can you pop to the next slide? So as everybody knows, we're here to connect, support and grow businesses. And even though we are in a pandemic, we are still focusing on doing just that. Everything we do is to help keep business moving. Various ways to do that on the screen. So we've got our member-to-member offers, we've got our events like today, we've got our COVID hub, we've got our various e-news channels as well as our magazine. So lots of opportunities for you to connect, support and grow. If you are unsure on some of these on the screen, I always say please reach out to your relationship manager. They are your kind of one-stop shop to anything chamber related. So if you've got any questions on that, what you can do more of, want to try some new things with us, do have a chat with them. Grace, can you pop to the next slide? I think everyone on this webinar has probably seen this by now, so I'm going to run through it really quickly. This is our COVID-19 support grid, where you can find all the support that is available, what it is, how you can access it, and if it is still available, not available, or when it will be available. I know there were some announcements coming, so I just wanted to highlight this. Once those announcements have come out, I'm pretty sure our policy team will very swiftly update this. So if you want to know what new support is available or what support might be extended, do have a look on this website as well. Next slide, please, Grace. Two kind of big opportunities coming up that I just wanted to highlight. We've got our Commonwealth Opportunities Week next week, which is run by the Commonwealth Chamber. Lots of different events. We're kicking off with a big event all about the Commonwealth Games, something coming up that's really positive. So really nice event. I think we've got 150 people registered already for that session. So if you do want to join, make sure you register soon and have a look at what else is on that week as well. It's all about the Commonwealth next week. And then Grace, if you could move to the next slide. In March, we are back with our Growth Through People campaign. There's lots of webinars on throughout the month of May, so you can see them all there. Have a look on our events calendar if you want to register for any of them. Just wanted to highlight them to you because I think with everything going virtual, so much has changed in terms of looking after people, recruiting staff, keeping them engaged, looking after mental health and well-being. So all those topics will be covered in the Growth Through People campaign. So do have a look at that if you can. Next slide, Grace. Right, a couple of other events I want to highlight. Next week, Lichfield and Tamworth, again, one of our sister chambers, has got a business advice roundtable. We're also hosting a webinar on the Birmingham Clean Air Zone. And if you enjoy virtual networking, we've got a speed networking session. I wouldn't be pitching for Solihull if I wasn't going to highlight some of our own events as well. So next week, we are back with our Pro Solihull networking session at 4 p.m. on a Thursday. And in March, we have our AGM. I know a lot of people kind of frown when they hear the word AGM, but it's a great opportunity to hear what's been happening locally, what our plans are, and also an opportunity to ask questions with our new president, who'll be joining us for that as well. Right, next slide, please, Grace. Right, that was all for me. I didn't want to keep you too long because we're all here to hear all about social media. So I'm now going to introduce Rick Courtney, who is the CEO from Be More Social, who'll be here to talk all things social media with us. So Rick, if you're ready, I'm going to hand over to you.
All this Zoom stuff. Listen, thank you very much for joining me today. What I'm going to talk about is, from my perspective, being in social for 14 years is what's going to be really, really important for 2021, okay? What we noticed back in 2020 when we was locked down, and to be honest, still locked down for as long as we have been, almost 12 months, is that the only way that we make social work is by listening in on conversations, engaging. The engagement levels have risen by 2,500% across the board. So what that means is there's been a lot, the activity rates, which what that means is there's a lot of people turning to social, putting out a lot of content right now, and engaging in what they think is right social. Okay, so my hope is that from this next 30-minute session, you're going to get a decent overview of how we managed to grow our business by over 600% throughout this period. Now, I get that we work in digital and it was kind of relevant, but we know agencies in our local area that haven't. All right, what I'm going to ask you to do is in the top right-hand corner of this screen, you'll have a view button. And at the minute, some of you may be on speaker view and others may be on gallery. If I could ask you just to put it on gallery view, speaker view for me, please. Just to repeat, that is speaker view, because our system works slightly different here, so that you can see the slides, and all of which are available after if you want them. All you have to do is email ben@bemoresocial.co.uk and request the slides, and he'll get them over to you, no problem at all. Now, because of this increase in engagement and activity and all that kind of stuff, as I said before, it's really watered down the opportunities on social. Now, in the chat box, I want to try and encourage some kind of responses. I want to see just exactly what people are experiencing on social now. Now, with the use of a Y for yes and an N for no, please indicate to me, does anybody use social on a regular basis? Y for yes and N for no. And have you sort of seen a decrease or decline in reach and engagement as a consequence? And I'm going to explain why that is right now. Generally across the board, you've seen a decrease in engagement levels and rates because there are algorithms in place monitoring what's happening across social. Now, if a lot of brands, businesses, organizations vying for work is constantly putting content out there all the time saying, buy my product, please, come and buy my product, please. The algorithms take over, suppress everybody's content, making sure that the users, people like me, you that use it day to day to communicate with brands we know, love and appreciate, friends and family as well that we want to remain connected to, they get through rather than we do, rather than marketers, people that want to do well. Now, we've always listened socially, we've always engaged on a regular basis, but there's a way in which you do that. And I hope that I expressed that really well here for you today. What I'm going to do is share these slides. As I said, they are available. What I want you to get from this session is learn what social listening means on each of the platforms. There is most definitely going to be a focus on LinkedIn and Twitter. But I think it's really important that you get abreast of them all, because we've got various different industries, I think, that can benefit from each of these different platforms. And not knowing who's on the call today, I suppose, is the reason why we've chosen Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. All of these platforms allow you to do just this. Now, you already, my hope, have started to see you broadcasting content. Some of you may have seen a decline in your engagement levels. So I think now it's time to take this social listening really, really seriously. Social listening is the monitoring of your brand's social media channels. Now, in some instance, people assume that social listening is when somebody tags you in a post, you thank them or you engage, or if somebody comments, that is a degree of social listening. But if I just kind of change the mentality a little bit, that's social monitoring. That's the monitoring of somebody responding to your content, and you ought to, out of respect, be engaging in some way. For me, social listening is tracking specific keywords tracking specific conversations that people are having. And it's not creepy, it's just a really good thing to do, especially if you're in the service industry, retail, or literally anything, to be honest with you. So you can track keywords, topics, you can track competitors to find out what they're doing, niches and industries, to identify specific chains or threads of conversation that you can get involved with and be of service. Now, keywords are one of the most important parts of social listening. So what I want you to try and do and think of is maybe what keywords are people using today to express having an issue, whereby you can get involved and say, listen, I can help with that issue. I'm really, really good at it. And let's see what we can do. See if we can't do some business together. Okay. Now, each of the platform allows us to do this, but some are more constrained than others. All right. Facebook being sort of a closed book, and you have to have a little bit of a workaround for that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you about that in a minute. You've got LinkedIn, which is broad, which is wide open. You can listen in on any status update and engage directly, as you can with Twitter. But again, because Instagram is Facebook owned, again, it's a little bit more difficult to do and a little bit more closed book. So we've got simple workarounds. Now, these aren't special hacks or anything difficult or, you know, something that we didn't ought to be doing. But what they are is strategies that help you identify leads, prospects, and opportunities. So social listening on each of the platforms is what I'm going to go through. Facebook has groups. There are, I mean, again, give me an indication. Anybody in networking in Facebook groups right at this moment in time on a reasonably regular basis? And if so, give us a yes or a no. These are very, very powerful. They're full of chest beaters. If you're late arriver to a group, then unfortunately you're not in the clique and you're going to struggle to be heard inside those spaces. Me, I'm often a late arriver to a group. However, it doesn't mean to say that these are going to be fruitless in terms of finding opportunities and leads. Okay, it's really, really important that you don't give up on these things. Now, a Facebook group allows you to sometimes post content. If, like me, you're a bit noisy and you're comfortable in front of the camera and you're putting video content out on a regular basis, these groups don't like it. Now, in some respects, there's already social media experts. There's already going to be experts in your field inside these groups that are friends, that are probably moderators, that will certainly try to silence your status updates, your posts, especially if you're going to market specific businesses inside that space. So I don't want you to be thinking, right, I'm going to jump into these groups. I'm going to be posting about my workshops, my webinars, my products, my service, because there are rules to groups that are going to suppress you and stop you from doing that. And that's got nothing to do with Facebook, but it's got everything to do with the moderator. And if you start posting inside these potentially very valuable groups, you're going to lose the opportunity to engage in that space at all. So what I did is I kind of worked out a strategy that had me flying under the radar that allows me now to approach people and engage with people that actually works. So I'm going to give you a quick brief explanation and then a demonstration. By joining groups that are relevant to your product or service, you're able to search for those keywords. You can see here, there's a search bar on Facebook. Okay. Now, I've joined thousands of groups and I regularly engage in 10 groups every day. By doing so, I do specific keyword searches for social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, new to this group, startup, various different keyword searches. So then what I'm able to do is filter all the white noise inside that group into a list of specific status updates that mention those keywords. Now that's really, really valuable, okay? But what I do is I then comment and help out. There may be people inside these groups saying, I don't get social, I don't understand what it's all about. Does anybody and can anybody help? Now it is a very noisy space, my space to be working and doing business in. So what often happens is the 20, 30, 40 comments of all the social media experts saying, I can help, give us a call and we'll arrange a one-to-one. My approach, first of all, is to be of service. And this is what social media is all about. It's not about vying for work and shoving a business card in somebody's face and saying, listen, I can help, give me a call, or I'll DM you, and all this kind of stuff. Because I would imagine we're all a little bit frustrated and fed up with the amount of LinkedIn DMs that we're getting right at this moment in time, vying for business, telling people that they can build apps for you and they can build websites. It's driving me mad. I get 5 or 6 a day. And I find it rude, if I'm honest with you, because we're web developers and we're social media experts. So why would I want to employ that? It's just cold and kind of thoughtless. Now, what social works like is to be of service and of value in the first instance. What I'd like you guys to adopt and properly is what we call a long form approach to digital marketing across the board. Okay. Now, what that means is we specifically have gone and written a blog article called The 5 Fundamentals, and it's the 5 rules of making social media work. So what we've done as a strategy is say, right, I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can with this issue, not knowing how to use it. So I engage inside these groups and saying, listen, that's a great question, but you're not on your own. It's often common. That's why we've written this article. I'd like you to click on this link and consume it. It might be of service. Okay. I then take a snapshot of the person's name, and then I go over to LinkedIn, I look for that person's name, and I say, listen, it was a very noisy stream inside that space. I'd like to connect. And if you may have missed it, I copied and pasted this URL. It may be of service. Nice, sensible, again, of value. You've got a great connection there on LinkedIn, one that is relevant, that you know now needs social media help and advice. And all you've done is you spent a little bit of time in your busy day and schedule to go out there and find people. What I'm also asking people to do is be very, very savvy. Be optimized for success. Now, again, I might be talking about a lot of things that might go over people's heads, and I apologize. However, we are offering like a free one-to-one afterwards if anybody's sort of, you know, fancies some of this stuff being explained in a little bit of detail, but I haven't got the time to go through that today. However, if you're optimized for success, what you should be having on your WordPress, Wix, Squarespace website is either a Facebook pixel or a LinkedIn tag. By you specifically going out there and being of service to somebody in a Facebook group, they're going to click on that link, read this article, that tag or the pixel will register them as a visit so that in LinkedIn or Facebook, you can remarket to them in the future. That means if they don't thank you for that response or reach out and engage or accept your connection request, it doesn't really matter. Now, again, as a strategy, because we reached out in LinkedIn and sent them the article, it now officially gives you a permissible right to go, hey, I sent you this article a few days ago. What did you think? Did it help? Let's arrange a one-to-one. And for me, I use them as a bit of an icebreaker as well. Okay. You know, these people need help. And again, there's no reason why you shouldn't be outreaching to them for help at all. What I'm going to do is actually take you through a demonstration on how to do it inside a Facebook group. So if I up here choose small business network, for example. So this is a simple group that I'm a member of, the Small Business Network group. Okay, this is UK Small Business Network. Just here is that search bar. Okay, so in that search bar, I do a search and I put quote marks in for social media and I close those quote marks. Can you see those quote marks inside this space there? I'll expand that. The reason why I do that is because it's called a Boolean search just here. Can you see this? Let me do that again for you because I didn't share my screen. So if I do a search in that search bottom there, click search, I get a little pop-up just here, and I can do in that Boolean search, a simple search for social media. I do this because it puts those two words together as a sentence, okay? Hit the return button, and all I get now is just mentions of status updates where it's mentioned the two keywords together, social media. I filter it to the side here for most recent. And now it's in some form of chronological order where I can just skip through these and have a look. There's going to be a lot of people trying to sell their services as well. But again, all I need you to do is be patient. Here we go. Fresh digital artwork, website ideas. If you can offer these services, in the north, I'd love to hear from you. This was on the 5th of January. So you can imagine if you're in that space on a daily basis, you'd have been there on the 5th of January to respond. You know, does anybody in this group write social media posts? There's another one on the 8th of December. Okay, now if you are to join, or you were to join lots of these networking groups around the country or in your locale or in your area, you're able to sort of pick up these pieces as they happen. So this Nick Robinson here is in this UK small business network, and on the 8th of December, he can handle the graphics, but he just wants somebody to write the post for him. And, you know, like, for us, that's perfect. We've got a copywriter in there. We can keep this person busy all day long. Say, hey, Nick, I can help. But before that, why don't you read this article? You know, if I clicked on that comment string, you'd see lots of people saying, I can do it for you, no problem. And they're ramming the sales pitch down the throat. Be of service first, and it will be of service to you. Okay. And that's Facebook groups. And already, I think you can imagine that the list of opportunities there is actually quite a lot. So moving over now to my next point, which is Twitter. Twitter has the same functionality, but it's even better than Facebook. You don't have to join any groups. Now, Ben, would you very kindly for me, please, pop in Tweetdeck for me, please? That would be really helpful. Tweetdeck is a free Twitter tool. So if you have already a Twitter account, going to tweetdeck.twitter.com. Ben's going to put the URL in here. You can do searches on a full-time basis, and they are saved as specific streams. So nice and easily and simply, you can go in there and you can do the very same search, social media, for example, in the quote marks, and engage literally in real time whenever you want to. Now, what I'm going to do is, again, I'll share my screen with you. I think somebody's saying the slides are, it all depends on people's internet, whether the slides are fuzzy. So if I go to tweetdeck.twitter.com, you'll see we've already got some streams set up, but the way in which you do a search on Twitter is, again, relatively simple enough. Over here, you see a search bar. Clicking on that search bar, and we often do searches for startup. Okay, what anybody does when they jump on Twitter or they start their own business is they go out there and they peacock, and quite rightly so. Here we go. And quite rightly so. Okay, I would do the same. Here at the back end is our search stream called Startup. Now, that's talking to the entire world of Twitter. What you have the ability to do is geo-locate that search. And again, I'll show you. There's a little toggle here in the top right-hand corner. If you click on that toggle, you tap on location, you type in, we wanted to do work in London. And as a consequence of all this stuff, we are doing work in London now. Close the toggle up. And all of a sudden now is just all these various different tweets, all talking about the startup industry, whether it's a digital startup, whether it's somebody talking about what is the hardest part of starting up a business for you, or even somebody might be talking about starting a business and being in the startup world and industry and how tough it is. Now, when I identify tweets like that, I go in and I say, listen, we were a startup at one point. I've written a specific article that's going to be of service. Again, having a campaign in mind and a strategy is always going to be really, really important for you. Okay. And all you need to do is set up TweetDeck and have all these separate streams so that you can engage with these streams. The same thing, Lillian, I think you've got a hashtag as well, haven't you, that you use on a specific day of every day. Can you remind me what that is?
Yeah, that's hashtag Solihull Hour every Tuesday from 7 till 8.
Fantastic. So again, there's no reason why that hashtag can't be set up as a stream. So again, you don't have to go into Twitter, you don't have to search for it or anything like that. All you need to do is open TweetDeck up on that time every single day and make it really easy for you. I know we operate multiple hours and engaging multiple Twitter hours across the country for specific reasons, so we can do business with specific people in locations. And that's all that happens. All those hashtags are set up because you'll find people use them externally of that hour as well sometimes, and you don't really want to miss those opportunities. So going in this space, being organized and set up is going to make it a very, very important and easy to use habit moving forward. And Twitter, for us, really, look, from a personal perspective, Twitter gave me half a restaurant, just literally by doing that kind of thing. I set up an office in December, not December gone, but previous to that in London. And what we did was we sent out a number of, we did a search for a number of hashtags and things like that for startup. We geolocated it to London. There was 3 or 4 guys that were sort of, peacocking, expressing that they've just started their business. So we invited them to a simple one-to-one with us. I've also just set up in London, again, play on the heartstrings, be of service, be really honest and transparent, and saying, by the way, I'd love to have a simple one-to-one with you and to discuss whether we can kind of share thoughts and ideas. And as a positive consequence, I had 4 appointments booked in, one of which never showed up, but actually did some business. So that in the first instance, we was doing business and the office were being paid for. And again, it's just about forming that good positive habit of every day when you've got a cup of tea and you're about to go for some lunch or something, just having, like I've got here, you can see I've got the Facebook group open here, I've got the Tweetdeck open there, and having them open so that I can just click through those tabs and just to see if there's anything that I can engage with. I'm not saying it's going to win for you every single day, but what you do have the opportunity to do is engage every single day. I'm just getting a quick timing check up. Ben telling me 5 more minutes. So the next thing I want to talk about is LinkedIn. Now we use LinkedIn to do lots of different things. Now we wanted to engage with lots of business owners and various other people, and we all do it every day. We all do searches for director, business owner, and engage. But that's what I call like a spray and pray sort of approach and attack. What I wanted to do was support as many people as I possibly can. And currently, right now, we work for the NatWest nationally as a positive consequence for our simple approach and strategy, of which I'm going to share with you now. Over in the search bar here, what we did searches for was a specific job title, not a director or anything like that. They're not often the people and the only people that make decisions. I went to the top of NatWest and I said, listen, I'd love to do workshops for you nationally. And they laughed at me. I'm a small business of 15 people in Doncaster. And they were like, we're a national business. You can't support us, nor can you support the demand. I think they were very wrong. So what I chose to do is target my local person in NatWest, who was a business growth enabler, who called Paula, a lovely lady. And she allowed us then to do workshops for her on her behalf to support her client base. I took a business card and noticed on the business card, it was a specific job title, business growth enabler. So I did in that search was simple filtered searches on LinkedIn so that I was able just to target those people. I'll show you exactly how we did that too. So sharing my screen with you now. In the top search bar here, I did the search for business growth enabler, if I spell it right. I filtered my searches because what I wanted was 2nd generation connections in the United Kingdom and those that worked, obviously, for the NatWest. Did those searches, and from what was an initial search of however many thousand people, it's not worked out somehow, in the United Company, works for the NatWest. So what that did was it filtered the searches down to, at this point, 73 results. Initially, without choosing the company, you noticed that there was 22,500 results. Now I've got 73 messages to send. Hi, I'd love to connect. Just done a workshop for Paula. She absolutely loved it. Can I do one for you? 2/3 of the business growth enablers around the country said yes, because they got decent reference from Paula. They said we was okay. You be the judge. So what happened was we then became on the radar for the NatWest. They approached us and said, we'd love for you to do the webinars and the workshops for the Entrepreneurs Hub across 5 locations. Would that be okay? Now we're doing business. So there's many ways to be able to get your opportunities and your goals and things see, what you have to do is you have to have a target in mind. You have to have a goal in mind with all of this. Otherwise, you are literally just spraying and praying and going to get frustrated very quickly for no result. Which brings me on nicely to Instagram. Instagram really is difficult for the B2B environment, especially right now. It's difficult for the B2B world, but you can search for places on Instagram. Imagine this, we was working back end of not last year, but the year before that, for a specific industry, and it was the beauty industry we were working with. And what we was tasked with was filling these beauty industry people with opportunities or reviews for having Botox, dermal fillers and lips plumped and that kind of stuff. So what we did was simple place searches for all the fancy restaurants, all the fancy wine bars and all those kind of things around the country, so that we can deliver leads and opportunities or help them grow their profiles. So what I'm going to do with you now is I'm going to share with you my Instagram account. So this is my Instagram account. All you have to do, can you see just by the home button there on the bottom of Instagram, you have a search bar, which is the discovery button. By clicking on the search bar and tapping on the search button, you can do a search for a fancy restaurant. So a fancy restaurant in our area, Ben, is Relish Bar and Grill. So we have Relish. Can you see I'm doing a quick search, and Relish Doncaster shows up there because it's the closest place to where we are. And if I look where it says top accounts, tags and places, if I click on places, you can see Relish Doncaster, 19 East Lathgate. If I click on that, I now have all the people that have Relish Bar and Grill tagged in their pictures. Okay. Now, respectfully, if I click on recent, they're all the live pictures that people are tagging Relish Bar and Grill in and getting involved in. Okay. So it really, really helps you to identify maybe the type of people that like to go out to nice places and look very, very nice too. So as a brand, as a logo, what you have to do then is simply maybe tap on a picture, double tap, give them a like, comment saying, fab, you look fab. Relish Bar and Grill is my favorite place too. Now, coming from a spa or a beautician's, that fills people with a little bit of niceness, confidence. And again, all it is to me is like delivering a digital business card and letting people know that you're here and that you're on the radar. But it's about being of value and of service, especially if you're going on tapping people on the shoulder. Don't ask them for the business. Deliver them service first, and that way you're kind of going to be seen in a much more positive light, and that way it'll be better for you. And again, it's not just about doing business. We've identified business partners, not investors, but partners like the chamber here. You know, we will deliver you a workshop, and you know, we'll get exposure to people, and people might know about us after this. And if we do a good job, then fantastic. That's what it's for. You know, social listening is an extremely powerful tool to do a number of different things. Let people know that you're on the radar, first of all, and allow you to sort of forge relationships and partners. This is what social listening does. Try and find partners, partnerships, and try and make sure that, you know, on a regular basis, forge and perform a positive daily habit. So much so that every day, for 30 minutes, you commit a default part of your diary out to expand the awareness of your business, and it will serve you very, very well. We concentrate. We got 3 BDMs in our business and me, that's 4. And it was our job every day to spend 30 minutes every day tapping people on the shoulders, being of service and helping out. And the positive effect that it had on our business was extremely massive. So for me, your homework is, guys, to please apply just that 30 minutes a day. If it's not specific, it's set in your diary, make sure that your habit is with a cup of tea and a sandwich or something at lunchtime. Just understand that everybody is also going to be the same, doing the same thing as you, and just going through their timeline and newsfeed. But what you'll notice is that when you do tap somebody on the shoulder and engage with them, they get a notification on the front end of their phone. somebody sent you a message, somebody's tagged you in a post, somebody's liked your post, and that is attention looking eyes down on your phones. I think I've gone over time there, so I'm going to stop before I carry on anymore, because I could talk forever. Apologies, but that is me done. Hopefully that's been of service, and I've taken all your questions.
Thank you so much, Rick. I don't think you've gone over time. I think you're pretty spot on. That was incredibly useful. I've learned so many new things. So thank you for that. If anyone has any questions, would you either kindly put them in the chat box, or if you want to just unmute yourself, raise your hand if you can, with the reactions button, I think that is. Oh, I can see one question coming up from Ian Preston. Would you like to go ahead and fire away?
Thanks very much. Rick, I'd like to ask you what your thoughts on LinkedIn hashtags are, and whether they have any benefit or not, because I hear different things from different people. Some saying they're brilliant, some people saying they're not, some people, they keep saying the algorithms. So I'd just be interested in what you've got to say about LinkedIn hashtags.
We use them strategically. I think they're very powerful, and they help a great deal, especially if you start to trend in those hashtags as well. But you've got to make sure that your content's good. If your content's poor, they can have a negative effect on you, and then kind of hold you down. Because like, you've got to imagine that all these platforms are just built of ones and zeros. It's all based on machine learning. Okay, so if you're pouring out the same hashtag over and over and over again, the same 3, no more than 4 on LinkedIn, then unfortunately you're on their radar. If your content's poor, then they're going to look out for you, combined with these 4 hashtags that might not be relevant to the content that you're broadcasting, but might be relevant to your industry. All these sums add up to a very negative impact. So what you have to make sure is that the hashtags that you're using is very relevant to the status updates. So if you're talking about having a great day and being positive on business, and having a positive day today, maybe using those 4 hashtags that relate to your industry is the wrong way to go. It's more about positivity and motivation and those kind of things. It's very, very clever. So you have to be strategic in the way that you use them. But I would suggest using them, because we win by using hashtags. My content often trends in the specific hashtags, which means if it starts to trend, I'm then introduced to other people on LinkedIn without me even doing any work for it.
Cool, thank you. And while I'm at you, what about the SSI?
I do worry about it. My SSI is something that I monitor and track. At first I thought it was a bit of a gimmick, but because I do a bit of social listening, it means I specifically outreach regularly, engage on a regular basis as well, and I'm always connecting on a regular basis. And because of what we do, we're posting on a regular basis, and all of those, certainly 3 or 4 items, gives me a decent SSI. So I just think that if everybody delivered a positive sense, then a positive broadcast, then you're good to go.
Right, thanks very much.
Right, I've got I can see Danny Gwynn with his hand up, but before I come to you, Danny, I think in the chat box a lot of people are asking what is SSI, so it might just be worth covering that quickly, Rick, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. That's your social sales index. LinkedIn measure you on 4 things. It's whether you post on a daily basis, whether you engage on a regular basis, whether you outreach and connect regularly too, and whether you check your insights. If you do all of those 4 things regularly, then your social selling index will be high, your percentage will be high, and theoretically, according to LinkedIn, they'll look after you as far as the algorithm is concerned. I honestly don't think that it is a thing. I think if you think about doing all those 4 things, regardless, on any of the platforms, it has a positive impact. I don't think necessarily that the social selling index is the thing that you've got to do. I just think it's a gauge on how well you're doing on social. By doing all those 4 things, you're doing a good job and people will see you more.
That makes sense. Thanks for that, Rick. Danny, do you want to unmute yourself? And
yeah, thanks. Excuse me, there's some background noise. So yeah, my question's about sort of quality content really, and more specifically about video content. So I mean, it's great to use hashtags and this and that, but how much does actually the quality of your content, trying to do something different, how much of equity does that give you in the social media landscape?
there's a debate, isn't there, whether it's quality over quantity. And I think it's a healthy blend or mix of it all, okay? I always prefer quality educative content, and I would much rather see people put 3 posts a week out of quality considered content than something every day that is not of service and doesn't have a value proposition considered in the first instance. And that's the long and short of it. But again, think of the word value proposition. If you were to put out 5 posts a day on LinkedIn and every post was of service and it was value, I don't think people would have enough of you. They would want more and more information from you, you know. So whether you were a regular poster or not, quality is always the key. But I'll be honest with you, if you're just going to put out 1 piece of quality content a week or a month because you've considered it that much, then unfortunately you're going to miss the boat. I think a quality piece of content is just valuable information, whether it's a quick selfie video on this thing. It doesn't have to be highly edited. It's just great piece of information, or whether you're just doing a quick screen record, a quick screen demo. That's for me valuable enough as it is, especially on LinkedIn.
Great, thank you, Rick. I hope that helped, Danny. Anyone else got any questions for Rick? Mike, I can see your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Yes, good morning. It was just about SSI. If everybody checks the chat, you will find a link that will take you straight to your SSI. It's a standard link, but because it knows it's you, when you click on it, it'll take it to your SSI. So if you want to just have a look at your page, it's a quick way of doing that, just to share that with you. The reason why I know these things is, funnily enough, yesterday I was with Chamber up Derby Way, and I was coaching people on LinkedIn for 90 minutes. So great fun to follow up with Rick and some of the stuff that he said today. So Rick, thank you for what you've shared today. Really good stuff. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Great, thank you for sharing that link, Mike. Right, is there anyone else who's got any questions for Rick, the back of the presentations he's done? Not for now. Right, Rick, thank you so much for your time. That was incredibly helpful. We're getting close to 11:45, so I'm conscious that people might have other meetings or the work they need to attend to. Like I said at the start, if you want to have a chat, do stay, put your camera on, and we'll just have some informal networking. But if you need to get on with your day, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that was helpful. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care.
That's okay.
But yeah, like I say, we do offer like a simple free one-to-one. And what Ben does is I'll have a look at your profiles and just give you some pointers as to what you should be doing. You know, it is a complex thing. These platforms don't make it easy for you to use them day to day. However, they're easy to play with and hit post and create content. But again, for me, they are literally, they take your time up, don't they? You know, creating content every day, broadcasting that. So you want to make sure that they work. Now, there is a very clever blend of what we call art, science, and psychology that makes all this stuff work. Okay, if you get your artwork right and your value proposition on the money, then people are going to stop because it resonates with them here. You know, people often stop and buy with their eyes in the first instance. The rest of the stuff is psychology. If you word everything correctly and resonate with an issue or a problem and convince somebody that you can solve it, then you've nailed the psychology. And what I want people to understand, it is those two things that are fundamentally important in social. And they're the things that you're in control of. The rest comes from the engagement. The initial stop of the scroll, feeds into the science. So the artwork, the video that you create causes that person to stop scrolling, which delivers what these platform calls dwell time. 3 seconds or more paused on your content delivers a social or an index to any of the platforms that you're interested in that type of content. If you understand your audience well and have a sensible call to actions like comment and share may happen, or a link click may happen. Again, that's a very firm indicator to these social media platforms. Actually, you're worth your salt, and therefore feeds that information into the science of the platform, and you will start regularly winning on a regular basis. Okay, what you have to understand is your value proposition, your worth to somebody else.
That makes sense. Terry, did you want to ask Rick a question? Fire away.
Yes, please. I'm really interested in this SSI. I've just looked at mine, thanks to the guy who shared the link, and it's 62. Is that good? Is it bad? And what can I do to build on that?
Look, I don't think it's a terrible score, 62. I don't know what Mike thinks. There's plenty of stuff that you could do. You look at the indicators, and it's going to tell you they're probably all equal, or one sort of indicator is probably more than the other. What I tend to find is it's more the engagement. Everybody finds it really easy to like, comment, and share, and the engagement part of that is way, way high up there. What isn't the easy thing to do is to post on a daily basis. Again, is to search for people and take the time out of your day to find relevant people on a regular basis to engage. And that's what I would do. I mean, I don't know how many times a week do you post?
I'm trying to post every day. It's hard at the moment because my role is to try and engage with companies for Canal and River Trust and get companies to come onto the canal and help us, support us with projects. But with the canals are still open at the moment for private people to use for exercise, but we can't really bring the groups onto the canal, which is what we usually do. So I'm struggling for content to share, but plastic challenges and things like that we do, I'm sharing on a regular basis.
I think as well, it's important that you become a thought leader on LinkedIn. We did a workshop on that yesterday, actually, just becoming a thought leader and having people sort of hang off your every word is what LinkedIn's really good for. It's helped us massively by putting out thoughts and opinions as content instead of like having a specific content calendar. That's really helped sort of me, my personal profile, raising the ranks and, you know, make it easier for speaking engagements and sort of getting business in. You know, again, it's not just a simple peacock, but we've moved everybody around in the business because, you know, respectfully, we've had to slow down after COVID because it got too much. And again, it was just a bit, you know, there were strains happening. You know, not only is not having enough business a problem, but getting too many people on and delivering service is a problem. So now we've just got one person in that does like 2 hours a day in business development, and he's pulling in 20 customers a month just by doing that very, very simple daily routine, engaging and making sure that, you know, I am that thought leader so that people sort of think, okay, I trust these guys. They know what they're on about.
Thank you.
I think Peter had a question for Rick as well.
Yes, I'm just unmuting. Right, okay, got it. Yeah, Rick, thank you very much. That's really, really interesting. I've been missing our networking meetings in Birmingham for the last year, which is a real shame. So it's great to be online doing it. My company is Clear, and we are got the company called Clear Design, and we specialize in e-commerce and things like that. I'm really business to business focused. But what I've been doing over the last few months is helping my wife set up her own business. And I've been doing a little Wix website, and it's all B2C, which I'm not into at all. So I thought I'd come onto this and listen. And it's been very, you know, that SSI, I do a lot on LinkedIn. I didn't even know about it. I've just checked it. It's quite positive. How do we go about, and I love the searches that you were doing on social media. My wife's into color analysis. So looking good, wearing the right clothes, body shape analysis and all that. And I know there's an opportunity, I think, with people being on Zoom all the time and Teams to make sure they're wearing the right colors and things like that. But how would we find a group to get into, like, because we're so broad? Your business is all it's social media, it's very focused, and you can pick out the right type of people. But her business, B2C, is so broad. How do you go about that?
I think like B2C, I mean, like the people like myself, you know, and again, I'm talking from experience. I've not got my best outfit on today, actually, because it was somebody that approached me, if I'm honest with you, from one of these very similar kind of things. She's like, do you know what? I did a series of 6 webinars and I made sure I had a different outfit. And she says, my favorite colors for you were when you were wearing double darks. I don't like it when you've got the lights on. It doesn't suit you. And I'm like, first of all, I'm offended. But then I thought, you know what? That's and it helped me then to strategize how I could help her moving forward. Because I'm a public speaker, I'm in front of these Zooms all the time. And I just simply asked her to do a simple keyword search on LinkedIn for public speaker, coach, consultant. And we're all going to be speaking on this Zoom thing. So if you're, and again, it really helped her to identify people that maybe before, like I did, come on the camera, I was in the mirror, I'm thinking, is my shirt, is it straight? Is my hair done right?
Hi, Rick. You forgot your tie.
I forgot my tie. I know everyone says that. I forgot my tie. I'm like, But it helped her to identify the type of person that actually has to worry about that kind of thing. And it established a business, got her framework and some foundation in place. And, you know, the rest is history, really. It's just kind of like, she's really, really happy. And we help her identify the scripts. It's all in your approach. You know what I mean? How do you approach somebody?
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you very much. Yeah, coaches, consultants, people that are going online all the time. So yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Rick, what would you say about standing out? I'm in the business of making people stand out by identifying their customer value prop.
Oh, that's music to my ears.
Those 2 magical words.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can identify that, you've won on social, full stop. Do you know what I mean? But standing out is about creating a thing. What is your thing that makes it all kind of pop and click and work together? And we're experimenting all the time. We've got a Just Ask Rick show that's 30 minutes that goes out on a LinkedIn Live, and that's my value proposition is my brain and how I genuinely want to help the 1% in this country understand digital and make sure that they are sort of benefiting just as we are as well. That's my value prop. So, you know, ask me any questions in that Just Ask Rick Live, and that's helped us to stand out. And we've got people coming asking questions from all over the world, and that's been really helpful. And also the fact that I'm comfortable in front of the camera. So we've created another series called Rick's One Take, and it's a take on this, it's a take on that. And it's about making sure that if you are trying to stand out, what is that repeatable thing that people can hold on to? We all watch, I don't know, our favorite TV program because we love to consume it. And that's what people have to do. They have to try and create something that your audience loves to consume. And the one thing that people get wrong with social is they're throwing content out and hoping it sticks to the wall, and they're expecting people to come back for it. There's no consistency. Try and create your thing and people will fall in love with that.
Can I ask you, Rick, did you know about Good Business Charter, Julian Richard's thing?
No.
You've heard of Richard Sounds?
Yes.
You'd be absolutely right. Yeah, I'll put it in chat. You'd be absolutely right for it. Yeah, they did one the other day on FS. Sorry. Anyway, just to say that please get it, because you should have the GBC logo on your website, the Good Business Charter that you're signed up for, because of all I know about social. I'm a PR consultant, but I'm going to be delegating some stuff to you. So I've put my details in to say, please get in touch for a one-to-one. But yeah, Julian, Richard, and lots of other people who are decent businesses, please sign up to that.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'll pop it in now.
Anybody got any more questions?
Not sure. I think feel free to unmute guys if you've got any questions.
So has that been valuable? Have people got some decent information out of this today?
I can see lots of heads nodding. Yes, definitely. I think
brilliant.
I know I've definitely heard a lot of things. We've recorded it all, guys, so you can watch anything back as well, and hopefully we'll be able to share some of the slides as well, Rick, if that's okay with you.
Of course, yeah. Just like I say, just get them to drop ben@bemoresocial.co.uk an email. If they want the slides, it's theirs. They're theirs. Absolutely no problem.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Rick,
Yes.
Can you hear me? How do we go about maybe getting that one-to-one offer that you mentioned?
Yeah, pop that in your email to Ben, and he'll be in contact with you, and he'll give you that one-to-one.
If anybody wants anything from me or from Rick, I'd suggest send me an email, and then it'll get in front of Rick, and it's just ben@bemoresocial.co.uk.
Lovely. I'm brand new to LinkedIn. I've been posting on Facebook and Instagram regularly.
Mhm.
But honestly, I've never gotten a client through Instagram. I don't think that's where my clients are.
What do you do?
I'm a virtual assistant. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm a virtual assistant. So I don't think my clients are on Instagram, or if they are, I can't find them.
They'll definitely be on Facebook and LinkedIn, maybe.
Yeah.
As well.
I've managed to get clients through Facebook, so I know that they're in there, and I've been told by other VAs that LinkedIn is quite good.
Mhm.
But it's one of those, I've just never explored LinkedIn much, but I have got a page, and funnily enough, I was in like a workshop yesterday with other VAs, and they were talking about LinkedIn, so this is perfect timing because it's really on my radar now.
I'll share with you a case study actually, and I think in pictures, and it just makes it a lot easier for me to describe certain things. Like I had a heated debate with an accountant once, and he's like, "Well, this is all bloody rubbish." He says, "My clients aren't on Facebook and sort of Instagram. I feel like I've wasted, 2/3 of my time in all of this." Because all I care about is LinkedIn. I'm like, well, sorry, sir, that you feel that way, but we've got to engage with everybody on the system. Can I ask you who your target audience is? He's like, well, busy restaurant owners and the retail sector, because what we want to do is we want to support them because they're having a tough time. I'm like, what makes you believe that they're on even LinkedIn? Just because you're an accountant doesn't mean to say that your audience is on LinkedIn. All he's thinking about is himself right now. So what we helped him to do, and respectfully, was like understand that the restaurant industry is often run by an owner operator, okay? And then in doing so, they're too busy to engage on LinkedIn. But what they are doing right now is very, very frantically posting on Instagram and posting on Facebook to market their opportunities.
That's true. Yeah.
So again, using the LinkedIn social listening, not the LinkedIn, the Instagram listening, and doing a search for a business, you don't have to look on the high street to see of the sort of the steamy windows. They're operating, they're in there, they're cooking their food, and they're delivering right at this moment in time. And all I need to do is DM them. Direct message them saying, look, I can see you're really, really busy. Do you need any extra support? Are you getting your paperwork done? Are you getting your books filled in? Do you need any support with X, Y, or Z? Because I'm your girl, I can do it for you.
Your searches, your examples of your searches have actually blown my mind. Like, I feel like what it does is it really targets it down. I think I've been focusing with Instagram in particular, focusing so much on the hashtags. But actually, it's about what I'm getting from this is that it's about zoning in on who my actual clients are, rather than what you're saying, like, just throwing anything out there and hoping for the best.
Absolutely. Have your pockets of niches, you know what I mean? Have a target in mind, We do a wider workshop that talks about your objectives. We do what's called the 5 fundamentals, and it talks about step 1 before posting is have your objective in mind. Otherwise, you are just going to be like I was when I first started my business, going all over the place. If I want 100 clients by the end of the year, that means I've got to earn anywhere between 8 to 9 clients every single month. How am I going to do that? I'm going to use LinkedIn search, and I want LinkedIn to be responsible for 3 of the clients. Instagram, because of the restaurant industry, is going to be responsible for maybe 1 or 2 of those clients, and have those KPIs set out for each of those. And it's just proper business talk. I think it's more, the fact that now these social tools allow us to freely operate in that way. For me, it's a big plus.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. This has been really helpful and really eye-opening. Thank you.
Your pleasure. No problem.
Thanks, Rick, for that. Anyone else got any further questions for Rick? Anything they want to share? Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up. We will circulate. Oh, Mike, I've got your hand. Do you want to just...
Yes, thank you. Just one stat that I pulled for this session that I did yesterday. 80% of B2B leads comes from LinkedIn versus 13% on Twitter and 7% on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So where would you, Rick, you were saying about concentrating your time. If you're going to be looking at that, then you're probably should be spending 80% of your time on LinkedIn and 13% on Twitter and 7% on Facebook.
It's true. I mean,
to do with business,
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But those 80% are probably organic as well. What I like people to do is like take control over. I could put out, goodness knows, I mean, the amount of back catalogue videos that we've got, people have forgotten what I put out. If I were to pull out my back catalogue again of videos, I could probably start again and have another 3 years worth of content. And maybe 80%. That 80% would probably be from organic searches and coming in. If you were to do like an engage in those niche groups, those networking groups, and think about like people feel very comfortable engaging in a Facebook group of like-minded businesses, very comfortable and saying, I've got this problem. There's not many people express a problem on LinkedIn. They're always good, great, and the best at whatever it is they're doing, because there isn't enough comfort around LinkedIn right now, whereas Facebook has got that kind of really nice fluffy feel to it. So we do, I'm being like really real now, we do all right out of both Facebook groups and LinkedIn. They're on a par because of the way in which we use them. We don't rely on LinkedIn to deliver that opportunity by being really noisy in the space. We actually rely on that value proposition first of all, so that we get some good opportunities coming in. So again, if you're in B2B, LinkedIn all day long as a risk-free opportunity. But if you wanted to make sure that you wanted to support, like, again, I'll be honest with you, our biggest problems come from LinkedIn because the expectations are really high. Whereas our like sort of nicer, friendlier, jollier, lovelier customers come from our Facebook outreach, because maybe, just maybe, and I don't want to talk out of term, they're slightly more naive and approachable and wanting of the help and support and service. So again, it's just for me, you can take control of how many people you reach and see, and don't necessarily rely too much on those stats, because LinkedIn does deliver a lot of organic opportunity. I'm only talking about the stuff that we're in control of right now. LinkedIn is very good for me because I'm very noisy in that space.
Can I just add as well? It might be a fairly obvious thing to say, but
you're muted, Ben.
I know, so I'm going to talk through your mind, otherwise it'll just start feeding back. All I was going to say is it might seem a fairly obvious thing to say, but if you look at that stat and say, right, 80% have come from LinkedIn, if the mindset is already B2B, I need to be on LinkedIn, you're going to spend maybe 80% of your time in there and only 20% of the time in the other platforms. So naturally that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
I think the point of this is if you spread that time evenly and go somewhere else, you're likely to put yourself in front of more people. And for us, it's about maximizing every opportunity and making sure you're in front of as many people as you possibly can. And the only way you can do that is to be in as many places as you can.
If you think about social SEO as well, people forget about that. If you did a search for a business, what you'll find is the websites never show up, but you'll get LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yes.
They all show up first of all because the dominance of those platforms, they've got great authority. And like we have done some like very stupid experiments, risky experiments. And what we want people to do is a search for Be More Social and not social media. And we put out a lot of content out there that cares about our brand and that has our brand and the word social, Be More Social mentioned as many times as possible, so that people do a search for Be More Social and move aside any opportunity for any competitor to sort of tread on our footsteps. If somebody were to do a search for social media in Doncaster or South Yorkshire, we'd have a list of competitors and giving people a reason to go through that entire top list. So by distributing content on all the 4 major platforms, we quieten everything down and we make sure that when people do a search for us, it's only us that they find.
SEO.
SEO, that's it.
Brilliant, thank you guys. That's really, really useful.
Pikesh put his hand up, wants to ask a question as well.
Where is he?
You're just muted, buddy.
He's turning it on.
There we go.
Hi, sorry. I just wanted to kind of ask, I guess it's, I'm one of these who, I guess I want to have my cake and eat it, in the sense that I need to be out there in social media and all the rest of it, but I don't like being, like you said, peacocking. I don't like to be kind of out there constantly. I'm a kind of a bit more of a creative visual kind of background. So a lot of people have been saying Instagram is the way forward. However, I'm just conscious that the type of content that you put out there is relevant, but equally, you just don't want people to kind of take advantage of the content that you're putting out there as well. So it's kind of trying to, like I said, trying to make it work for myself in that regards. I just wanted to know your thoughts.
I had the same issue. Because look, let's be honest, everything that we talk about can be Googled, everything. And it's all there for anybody to use. I have had a lot and have educated a lot of social media experts in all my webinars, and it's been frustrating. And when I see all these different people join the webinars and workshops along the way, don't worry about that. It's going to happen. People are going to take advantage of your work. They're going to copy it. It's almost, I've become numb to it now, to be honest with you. You know, the amount of 5 fundamentals that I've seen and the amount of food chains and art science and psychologies and all that kind of stuff has been frustrating. However, take that as a compliment. The only way that you are ever going to avert that risk is to be kind of noisy in that space. And if you're too noisy, then don't worry about it. The algorithm will pick up on that and suppress you anyway. But you will see that. You will see the stark shift in decline in reach, maybe not in engagement, but in reach, and you know when to sort of pull back and push forward. I think in this world kind of currently that we live in, and I'm not saying it's going to last forever, we have to understand that this is the way we communicate, and trying to find it in us or within us somewhere to be able to find a formula that works. It doesn't have to be video, it could be auditory as well. It could be simple visuals that you put out is going to be really important for you as well for your success.
Thanks, Rick. I think that was really quite helpful. I could see thumbs up from Vikesh there. Anyone else got anything, any final questions for Rick?
There's a question from Michael saying, does Facebook have anything similar to the SSI?
So Michael says, does anything have any similar to the Facebook have something similar to the SSI? I think my point earlier was about that every platform has this SSI ranking. I don't think it's new to LinkedIn. It's just that LinkedIn is the only platform that kind of reports on it, really, and makes sure that you're doing everything that you should be doing. It's a good indicator. If you were to suggest, what we say is this: create one piece of content and put it out on all the 4 platforms. Understand your value proposition entirely, and don't worry too much about posting a different tone of voice on LinkedIn to that of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because people have got to buy you. It frustrates me a massive amount when people change for these various different platforms and then come to do business with this person and then not what I expected at all. Okay, there are people that I'm going to get on with and not get on with in this world, and that's fine, because we're all different and we all got a different way of working. So try and understand that value proposition, that one piece of content that you put out on all of the platforms and that you broadcast, so long as you're doing everything that I ask you to do: post regularly, engage on a regular basis, like, comment, share other people's content, and outreach on a regular basis. Keep an eye on your data, keep an eye on your insights, making sure that they're going the right kind of ways and levels, and then turn to your LinkedIn SSI to see how that's performing. If that tells you you're doing everything right, then if you're doing the same on all the other platforms, it must be. All it is a simple algorithm. This SSI it means actually nothing. What it actually does is saying you're kind of on the right tracks to using LinkedIn the correct way.
Lovely, thanks, Rick. All right, we're getting close to 12:15. So what we'll do, once the recording's ready, we will circulate that with everyone who's attended, together with Ben's contact details. So, you know, if anyone leaves this session and goes, actually, I really wanted to ask something, or I wanted to pick up with Rick and Ben to help me out, then you can reach out to them via email as well. Rick, thank you so much for that session. Ben, thank you as well. That's been really, really helpful. And thanks for everybody for joining us today. Have a great rest of the afternoon and see you all soon.
Pleasure. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.